Local Matters family, we welcome you to the October 8th edition of Local Matters Podcast of Georgia, where we strive to help you become a more engaged citizen and a more confident voter. Election time is upon us, and it is time that we consider the candidates who are running for the Georgia Public Service Commission race. Today, we have Tim Echols, who is the Republican incumbent, and Dr. Alicia Johnson, who is a Democratic challenger for Georgia Service Commission District 2. Augusta happens to be located within District 2, and I want to be clear about this, and that is that anybody who's a registered voter in the state of Georgia can vote for candidates for the Georgia Public Service Commission regardless of district. This is a very important race, and we want you to listen to this episode to understand why. And of course, as always, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us on our Facebook page. Local Matters family, today we are joined by Dr. Alicia Johnson. And did I pronounce your name right? Is it
You
Alicia?
did. It is.
Okay.
It
All
is
right.
Alicia. Thank you.
All right, great. She is joining us because she is a candidate for the Georgia Public Service Commission, District 2, which is where the Augusta area is located. Dr. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Janice. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to you and all of your viewers.
Awesome, awesome. We've got a few questions that we provided to you, but before we get to those, we would like for you to let our listeners and our viewers know a little more about who you are. So if you could just give us some background on yourself, that would be helpful.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Alicia Johnson. I'm Dr. Alicia Johnson, but I'm also a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a community leader and proven health and human services advocate and someone who's worked in that field. I'm a native Savannian. I am 52 years old and am a born and raised Georgia girl. So love Georgia. Love my home city of Savannah. My parents are still here, aging in place, and so close by, we have two children. One is an adult, and she's married and has given us a beautiful grandson. And our son is a junior in high school, and so he's still here. My husband is a illustrator by trade and a professor emeritus at the illustrious Savannah College of Art and Design, where he's been for over 26 years now. So we have strong roots here and have lived, loved, worked, played, and served our community uh, all across Georgia.
Right, that's great. And Savannah's a beautiful city. I was down there a few months ago. I usually have the pleasure of at least one business trip to Savannah per year. So
Oh, well, that's
um,
good for you. Good for you. I hope you got to enjoy some low country cuisine and some great seafood and walk around on the water.
a vegetarian, so I didn't have any
Oh,
seafood,
vegetarian.
but I
Well,
had
we
good
still
food.
have great we're
But I had
surrounded
good
by
food.
yes, we still have great food and I love that we have several farm to table restaurants, and the beauty of being in Savannah is that most of our restaurants can get local produce and from right around us. So we have great fare for anyone who wants to come
You
down and
do,
try. Yes.
you do. As we think about your candidacy for the Public Service Commission, I have to ask, is this the first time you've run for
It
elected office?
is. It is the very first time I've ever run for public office, and quite frankly, politics was never on my vision board. But as I've shared, because of my work in health and human services and advocacy, I've come to understand in a very intimate way that politics is connected to policies, and policies are connected to our pocketbooks. And so this run for me is about making sure that we are pushing for and having people centered policy. And people centered policy, Janice, as you know, is not red or blue, it's just good policy. And I felt the urge that above all, with where our current state administration has taken us, and our national administration has taken us, when we've carried the weight of those poor policy decisions for so long, that advocacy has to look a little bit different than it did um, uh, in years past.
So that's your genesis for running for office, I hear.
Mhm.
And as you think about your public life, even though you haven't held an elected office before, as you think about your public life, what are some of your most significant accomplishments?
Wow, that's a great question. So, prior to coming to my current work that I do now full time, other than the run for Public Service Commission, I led community development and economic mobility initiative for the city and county of Savannah, where I helped to not only advocate for policy, but put forward some groundbreaking programmatic initiatives to help underserved communities jumpstart economic mobility. That work has been recognized nationally, as well as within the state. And that included programs that help provide public benefit transition and education and so on to over 10,000 households in our region, helping over 1,300 folks get livable, sustainable wages with stackable credentials. Prior to that role, I helped plan and deliver member services for over 550,000 Medicaid lives across Georgia in all 159 counties, and have, held offices that have afforded me the opportunity to serve right on the front line of most of our communities. I've been the public information officer for the first African American district attorney in the Eastern Judicial Circuit. Uh, and But I've also been the grant writer and strategic planner for our school district. So I've got uh, uh, a lot of work that, again, has been built around helping underserved families realize economic mobility and opportunity.
Thank you for that. And turning to a seat on the Georgia Public Service Commission, if you are fortunate enough to win that seat in November, I think the election is November 4th, is that right?
It is, with
Okay.
early voting starting October 14th and going through October 31st.
Okay, thank you for that. So, if you're fortunate enough to win, what would be your major priorities if you get that seat on the Georgia Public Service Commission?
Yeah, Janice, as I've said for far too long, Georgians have often carried the weight of the rising utility bills. Most of those costs have been passed off to folks like you and me, working families, rising utility bills, while seeing a little accountability, and are forced to make families are forced to make choices like between rent and medication and utility bills and food. And Often rural communities and working families are left behind. And I don't believe that uh, that should be occurring. So, one of the first things I want to do is ensure that we hold utilities accountable, that we are no longer seeing the current Public Service Commission has seen themselves more as extensions of the utility company rather than representing the families of Georgia. So we want to raise the level of accountability. No more unchecked rate hikes. No more carte blanche checks. We want to look at investing in a balanced energy mix. We also want to make sure that there is some community benefit agreements and some impact assessments and audits, so that instead of all of those profits leaving Georgia going back to shareholders, that they're actually reinvested back in the community where such a lot of extraction has already taken place.
It's interesting the language that you used. I want to go back to it. You said
Hmm.
the commission has felt like an extension of the utilities
Yes.
as opposed to a regulator. It's
Hmm.
supposed to be an independent body.
Yes.
So tell me how you would approach the job to sort of shift that mindset from what you see now into what you think what you would want it to be.
Yeah, so one of the things that I want to do my first day in office is create a community advisory board that represents the communities across Georgia and brings equitable decision making and knowledge sharing to the table, right? So some of the most of the decisions have been made, behind closed doors. Without, it's not accessible. The information is not accessible. It's not printed in, language that the everyday Georgian can understand. I want to see report cards of the utilities being posted. I want to see more transparency regarding the meetings, those being hosted in accessible locations and made available for people to participate, share their information. We need to be seen, valued, and heard since we're making the current utility companies, in particular, Georgia Power, is making about a 12% return on the backs of ratepayers in Georgia. And you nor I get a 12% return, or likely your listeners, on any investment they're making anywhere. And so this is a real opportunity to put people first, because energy is not a privilege, it's a necessity. And we need to hold them more accountable.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Next question. What else would you like our voters to know about you? You've already told us a good bit about yourself, but is there anything else you'd like our voters to know? And where can they go to learn more about you?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I want voters to know, that this race isn't about politics. It really is about people. And it's about seniors on fixed incomes and families working hard to make their ends meet. And what we see is small businesses trying to keep their doors open. We see that it is possible to build an energy future that's affordable, reliable, and sustainable for all of us, with those goals in mind, and making sure that our utilities are held accountable. I want people to know that I am about putting them first and centering them in the decision making as a regulator, and want their voice to be heard and be present at the table. They can find out more about our campaign at www.alicia, ALICIA, the number four, Georgia.com. That's Alicia for Georgia.com. They can email our campaign directly at info at Alicia for Georgia.com. At that website, they can volunteer, ask questions, get connected to the campaign to help with canvassing, get out the vote, or any of that. I want to make certain that voters are aware, no matter where you live in Georgia, this is a statewide election. So you can vote for me my name will absolutely be on your ballot. And early voting starts October the 14th, runs through October the 31st, and election day is November the 4th. And with your vote, together we can power Georgia's future fairly, responsibly, and again, with people at the center of every decision that happens.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing a little time with our listeners. And we certainly will be reporting back on the results of this election around November 5th.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to you all sending me to Atlanta.
Local Matters family, today we are joined by Mr. Tim Echols. He is a member of the Georgia Public Service Commission representing District 2. How are you doing today, Mr. Echols?
Doing great. Good to be on with you guys. Great to be serving the state of Georgia.
Thank you so much for being willing to come on Local Matters. Here at Local Matters, we exist to help people understand how local and state government work, and we also help people become more confident voters. And you can't become a confident voter unless you know something about the candidate. So we certainly appreciate your taking time to be with us. We'd love for you to get started by just telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm married to Wendy, and we've been married for 42 years. So I'm an ordained minister. Wendy and I have 7 children. Met her at the Baptist Student Union at the University of Georgia. The founder of Teen Pack, a national youth ministry that I grew from scratch from 1994. So I think education's really important to me. I have 4 girls and 3 boys, and 4 grandkids, soon to be 2 more twins being born here this fall. So, I'm a family guy and just really taking it one year at a time. And God has given me the opportunity to serve in this position. I'm not sure how long that will be, and I'm sure He has a plan for me if I lose the office, and He'll have another task for me to do.
I'm sure that he will. Now tell me, are you pastoring a church right now?
No, I'm an ordained Southern Baptist minister, but I'm not a pastor. I do love to preach when I have a chance to do some supply work in pulpits. My wife is a Christian counselor, so she is regularly counseling people in the Athens area. So she's working with families that are struggling with their marriage, or couples about to get married, or kids with trauma. So she's in full-time ministry as well.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. So, you are an incumbent. You have served on the Public Service Commission for a while. Please tell us, what was the impetus for you to run?
Been on the commission for 15 years. These statewide offices are very difficult to attain, extremely difficult to beat an incumbent. So I had always wanted to go into politics really since college. And I was raising my family. It really wasn't an appropriate time. And then when I was 49, this seat opened up. There was no incumbent. The incumbent was stepping down, and I ran against 3 other Republicans, and by God's grace, I won. I won the primary and then won the general, and I've been in the seat ever since. The Democrats did not put anyone up against me in 2016, and I think that's partially because I've been such an advocate for solar, for electric vehicles. And I just don't think the Democrats felt like they needed to run a candidate against me. They chose to run candidates and other things. So I really haven't faced a Democrat since 2010.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. And having said that, if you look at your entire public life, please tell us what you consider to be your most significant accomplishment.
The CSRA over in Augusta, of course, knows the importance of nuclear in general, with the Savannah River site across the river, Barnwell, the storage facility, Plant Vogel, Plant Summer, the Oconee operating station, all of that. It's almost like the Silicon Valley of nuclear energy over there. And I think the most important accomplishment for me was being the lead person to do the motion to keep Plant Vogel going amidst the bankruptcy of Westinghouse. There were a lot of contractors who were owed money by Westinghouse when that bankruptcy happened, and from food vendors to welders to others, and we had Georgia Power pay all those contractors to make them whole, to keep them on the site. We had 9,000 craft laborers over there. I've worked very closely with all of our unions. I have the full union endorsement for Georgia, from the AFL-CIO all the way down to the iron workers and sheet metal workers. They have endorsed my candidacy because that project was that important to them. Of course, these craft laborers want other jobs, and we're going to be building a lot more natural gas plants across Georgia, and eventually some more nuclear if we can get financial protection. But I think finishing Plant Vogel was the most important thing that I've done in 15 years.
Thank you. And if could you be a little bit more specific about what your role was in making sure that Plant Vogel was finished?
In 2017, when the bankruptcy of Westinghouse occurred, we had a go or no go vote here at the commission, and I wrote the motion to keep it going. In South Carolina, they decided not to keep it going. They canceled their project at Plant Summer over in Columbia. So, as a result of that, the entire state of South Carolina was downgraded by Moody. SCANA, of course, was virtually bankrupt, had been acquired by Dominion Energy, and all 7 public service commissioners in South Carolina lost their job. Over here in Georgia, even though it was a difficult time, even though it was expensive to finish, I think collectively leaders in our state really wanted us to finish. They didn't want us to give up on it. One, they knew we were going to need the energy in the future. And number two, we had already put about $5 billion into the project. So, by God's grace, we were able to finish it, and the plant's doing fantastic. Yeah, it cost us a little more than we had hoped. We had projected about 8%, wound up costing us about 12% on ratepayers' bills. So that is something ratepayers are paying for, but it is an investment in the future.
Thank you for that. And having served 15 years, got that behind you, running for a 4-year term, is that right?
5-year term.
5-year term. Is it 5 years? Is it always 5 years or is it
It's usually 6, but
usually 6?
because of the lawsuit against the state of Georgia, the election was delayed. I'm actually in my 9th year of my 6-year term right now. I've been serving 9 years. And so when the legislature, after the lawsuit failed from the plaintiffs, it was several NAACP former executives and Democrats basically suing to make it a district-only election. So even though I'm in District 2, everybody in the state votes for me. The plaintiffs had wanted that to end. Um, they were unable to get that accomplished, so the legislature had to restagger the PSC elections. We serve in staggered terms, and so they had to put me in this odd year of 2025 with city elections. So it was a mess. We didn't, frankly, I didn't care which way they went, but they, the courts and the legislature basically determine all this.
5-year term this time? Is that what you said?
5-year
Okay.
term, and
Oh,
then in 2030 it will become a 6-year term again.
6-year term.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't envy them in trying to figure out how to make this fair. So, with the idea that if you win, you could continue for another 5 years, uh, tell me what would be your major priorities if you are reelected?
Yeah, the biggest question I'm getting on the campaign trail is about data centers and what's the impact data centers are going to make. And I'm really traveling the state, just reminding people that their county commission, and of course, you have a unified government there in Richmond County, but county commissions determine where businesses are able to locate. What part of the county? What are the rules? How much setback do they have? Do they have to have a barrier of bushes? Is there a noise issue? Where are the power lines going to go? That's something I'm reminding everyone is that when you put a data center somewhere that uses a lot of power, those big lines are going to possibly come through somebody's neighborhood, and you better make sure that you're happy with that. Um, my job's not to determine what counties get data centers. My job is to make sure that anybody that wants to come into the state and do business, whether they're making golf carts, building cars, processing chicken, or processing data, that they have the power that they need.
Very good. And yeah, the data centers have caused a good bit of controversy, thinking that they use too many natural resources. Um, j- just curious, do you think that that concern is overstated?
And I think it's a decision each county has to decide. Some counties are flush with water. They have like Clayton County has a fantastic water system, water authority with plenty. Other counties are a little bit short. County commissioners, they need to measure 3 times before they cut here. They need to make sure, do we have the water? Do we have the power? I think the tempting thing for counties on these data centers is that they pay a 7-digit ad valorem tax because of all the computers in the building
Mhm.
per year. And those millions of dollars are very attractive to counties, particularly counties maybe that have struggling budgets, that have
Mhm.
roads that need to be paved, libraries that need to be built, school systems that need to be bolstered, and they want the money. And so I know in Columbia County recently, they've had quite a bit of controversy over data centers. So that's up to each individual county, but it can be controversial.
Yes, it can. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time today. If our voters want to know more about you, where do they go to find that out?
Sure. You can just go to timechols.com, timechols.com, or just Google me. I'm out there. I'm very outspoken, very active, very grassroots uh, person. I was a walk-on as a commissioner, so to speak. Um, I didn't have any office. I ran against, a sitting senator or sitting rep and a guy from Augusta, actually, Joey Brush, the late Senator Joey Brush, who had been both. So by God's grace, I was able to win in 2010. And if folks feel like things are going pretty good here in Georgia, I hope they'll send me back for another term. It's been my pleasure to serve.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
I close with my favorite Bible verse, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. This show is designed to contribute to each of those, giving you the power that comes with knowledge, demonstrating love for your local community, and offering you wisdom for decision making so that you possess a sound mind when it comes to these topics. Please tune in to Local Matters next week as we drop new episodes every Wednesday on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and sometimes YouTube. Thanks so much for being a part of the Local Matters family.